We exist on the uppermost, thinnest layer of our planet. The tectonic plates that make up the Earth's crust constitutes less than 1% of the planet's volume. At its thickest, it's just 62 miles thick, and it sits on a vast sea of molten rock, metal, and silicates called magma. Where these plates meet presents an opportunity for that magma to escape, and when it does, we see a volcano. Volcanoes operate on geological time. Some that haven't erupted for thousands of years are not dead, merely dormant, and at any point, their magma chambers could fill and they could wreak destruction on the planet by emitting millions of tons of lava, gas, and ash. We're used to volcanoes erupting. In fact, at just about any time, there are multiple eruptions happening around the world. Most are small and don't make news reports. 200 million years ago, a large string of volcanoes called the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, or CAMP, began erupting, and they hardly stopped for 40,000 years. 40 millennia of gas and ashes spewing into the atmosphere by multiple volcanoes created a slow, smothering death for both air breathers and water dwellers. In that period, the Earth was plunged into a prolonged period of global warming. The air became toxic, and the seas and oceans were turned to acid. There was little respite, and by the end of this period, 3/4 of all life on Earth had been extinguished. When it comes to volcanic activity, it would take surprisingly little to bring our current way of life crashing down. When Pinatubo erupted in 1991, global temperatures dropped by 0.5 degrees for 2 years. When Eyjafjallajökull on Iceland underwent a relatively small eruption in 2010, almost all European air travel was suspended for a week. If this were the start of another 40,000-year camp-level event, then we could realistically expect the same results. Plant life would quickly struggle in the darkness, and with that, the food chain would collapse. Our existing supplies might last a few years, but global wars would rage as a result of countries competing for ever scarcer resources. Global populations would plummet, and humanity would be plunged into a race for survival. We can't prevent this. There is no way to stop a volcano. We simply have to wait. But we can prepare, and with the help of science, we could find ways to make it through the millennia. Unlike most animals, the human race would probably survive, but certainly populations would be dramatically smaller by the time the Earth recovered. Next, we have one of the biggest threats to humans and every living thing on Earth in the history of the planet: man-made climate change. It was in 1896 the Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius first warned that the vast levels of carbon dioxide we were pouring into the atmosphere could lead to climate change. We've been getting the same warnings ever since, and the evidence is now irrefutable. The Earth has always undergone epic climate cycles of heating and cooling. But what nature takes thousands of years to achieve, we have managed in under a couple of centuries. By burning fossil fuels, releasing man-made gases into the atmosphere, and the intense destruction of rainforests, mankind has driven global temperatures up since 1800. Ice core records show that atmospheric levels of carbon dioxide are at unprecedented levels in the past 800,000 years. Extreme weather is increasing in both intensity and frequency, creating a cycle that worsens over time. Intense heat causes droughts and wildfires, which release more carbon, trapping even more heat. Higher temperatures globally melt glaciers, and without their white surfaces reflecting sun back out into space, we only get hotter. As the ice melts, the sea levels rise, and low-lying lands are lost to the seas. 5 of the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific are already submerged. The rest seem doomed to follow. All this heat means more water evaporates from the seas, leading to more frequent and intense storms on parched land, leading to flooding that destroys homes and decreases farmable land. As our land shrinks, our available resources will shrink with them. Food and freshwater shortages are inevitable, making our current population and lifestyle unsustainable. It will be a long, drawn-out death by 1,000 cuts. Work can be done to slow the rate of change, but much of the damage is irreversible. Estimates suggest that by 2100, 2/3 of all glaciers will be melted, and 1/4 of all species could become extinct because of climate change. This will not be the end for planet Earth. Over geological time, everything will rebalance. But given enough time, it could mean the end of the age of mammals and a new world. This is a less tangible threat than an asteroid or supervolcano. But it is already happening, and there is every chance that it will be what finishes mankind off long before a more dramatic fate can befall us.